it is time to talk about the tofu-eating wokerati. My producer Ryan just said that I'm the tofu-eating wokerati. I don't think I'm all that woke. I do eat, but I can't stand tofu. Anyway, that's what Suella Braverman has accused various MPs, Labour MPs in particular, Lib Dems, and indeed the House of Lords, of being after they prevented the passing of a bill enabling police to crack down on Just Stop Oil protesters, as well as Extinction Rebellion, Animal Rebellion, all that lot. Let's have a quick reminder of Suella Braverman attacking the Guardian reader lefties.
It's the Labour Party, it's the Lib Dems, it's the coalition of chaos, it's the Guardian reading, tofu-eating, wokerati, dare I say, the anti-growth coalition that we have to thank for the disruption that we are seeing on our roads today.
I'm definitely going to form a band, a rock band, and we're going to be called the Anti-Growth Coalition. There's something I like about that phrase. Let's speak to Conservative commentator Benedict Spence. Hi, Benedict.
Good afternoon.
On a serious note, this was an attempt by the government to crack down on these eco-nut protesters who are causing so much disruption to decent people trying to go about their lawful business, gluing their hands to the road, climbing up the Dartford Crossing Bridge, etc., etc. And the MPs have blocked it. It went to the House of Lords, where it was blocked again. It's gone to a third reading now. I mean, the government's got enough of a majority to probably get it through in the end. But my question to you, Benedict, is Suella Braverman right? Effectively, this country, we might have a Conservative government, but it seems to me it's ruled by what Suella called the tofu-eating wokerati, the Guardian reader lefties. They do seem to rule the roost, don't they?
I mean, although I am trying to be serious, I think it's very interesting that you have Suella Braverman accusing one side of the House of Commons of being the anti-growth coalition, and then, of course, Yvette Cooper gave it right back and said, well, I'm looking at the coalition of chaos. And it's kind of, pick your poison right now at the moment. You do have a situation where you've got a Conservative Party that theoretically has a stonking great majority and has done spectacularly little with it. And, I think ultimately, actually, it's all very well blaming, the Guardian readers, the left, in Parliament and in the House of Lords. It's all very well blaming them for these things, but ultimately this is something that the Conservative Party has had the opportunity to do more about earlier, and I think has been asleep at the wheel over a lot of this. We could have nipped a lot of this sort of behaviour in the bud a lot earlier, a lot sooner. Sure. The Labour Party and others will always try to make hay about this sort of situation. They will always push back on these sorts of things, and it is wrong that they do so on this particular issue. It's incredibly frustrating for a lot of people that, swathes of the country's infrastructure are very often held hostage by people who are extremists, are fanatics, and seem quite illiterate when it comes to their own scientific cause. But nonetheless, it is also the case that the Conservative Party could have been a lot stronger on this sort of thing, and they haven't been up to now, because ultimately playing politics with it is one of the few things that they've got going for them. Most people agree with them, and that therefore, it makes them more inclined to keep this in the public eye.
I mean, I think you're right. They always have been rather laissez-faire about the wokerati, the woke blob that seemed to rule the roost in terms of public opinion, and indeed in terms of the way this country is governed. Now, in this respect, we were talking about the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Act. Now, that is floundering. It'll probably get through in the end. The idea is to crack down on these eco-nuts, to stop them as soon as they glue themselves to the road, to pull them off, unblock the road, and indeed to stop people like this Just Stop Oil duo who climbed the Queen Elizabeth Bridge, which is the Dartford Crossing Bridge, which links Kent to Essex to the east of London, is a massive motoring artery, and the police closed it down for 2 days, nearly 3 days. My point to you, Benedict, is, are the police chiefs who run the various constabularies in this country, are they part of the tofu-eating wokerati? Why on earth did they leave it nearly 3 days to climb up and pull these two idiots down? Because they closed that bridge, caused untold misery. Why 3 days?
I mean, I'll tell you what, if you're the Ukrainian special forces right now and you're thinking, well, if that's all it takes to stop a bridge being used, we could have saved ourselves a lot of explosives, couldn't we? I tell you what, the police have find themselves in a very difficult position because I do agree with you. They aren't quite as forceful, I think, as most people would like them to be. But that's because they are caught in the rock and the hard place between being accused of being heavy-handed, accused of being racist, accused of being dysfunctional every time they step in to deal with any kind of protest. But then get it in the neck from the Conservative government, which tell them you ought to be doing these things. Oh, but by the way, we're not going to give you the resources to deal with this. We're going to take a large number of police officers off the street, and then we're going to put those officers back at a later date and claim that we're increasing police numbers whilst actually not contributing to the justice system. And, there is also the issue of if you decide to prosecute protesters like this, people who are a public nuisance, it's entirely possible that they won't see the inside of a court in a proper sense for a very long time, again, because of cuts to the justice system committed under a Conservative government. And that's why it frustrates me, because you do have the country with this array of left-wing pressure groups, organisations like Just Stop Oil, who, let's be honest here, the Labour Party are more than happy to let them get on with doing whatever it is they're doing. But you don't actually have a Conservative government that up to now has taken this seriously. They haven't got to grips with police forces across the country as to what it is they're supposed to be doing. So as much as anything else, yes, the police aren't particularly good at dealing with this. You're right. They should have been up there a few days earlier. But the reason that they're not there is as a result of close to a decade, if not more so, frankly, of not being given the resources or, frankly, the direction from the Conservative government, because actually that's not been too important to them up to now.
Point taken, Benedict. You're absolutely right. But, of course, in the end, chief constables operate under their own auspices. They make the decisions. And it seems extraordinary to me that the police force concerned prioritise that. Of course, these demonstrators, they have the right to protest. The question is do they have the right to disrupt other people going about their lawful business? And it seems extraordinary to me that with the bridge and with the roadblocks, that police always prioritise the rights of the protesters over the rights of you, me, lawful, law-abiding citizens to go about their business. Why do they do that?
I think it's because it goes in part back to what I was saying before. I think that there is a siege mentality in a lot of police forces in this country where they feel like they don't know what is the right thing to do. If they go in and they're heavy-handed, they're criticised. If they don't be heavy-handed, if they let the protesters get away with it, basically, they're criticised. And really, I think, a lot of people have been talking about reforming the police. And I do think we're getting to that point where actually something needs to be done in terms of actually giving the police and saying to, police commissioners, this is your role, you need to do it. Because ultimately what you're going to get otherwise is, as you point out, ordinary people going about their days, having them disrupted through no fault of their own by middle-class eco-lunatics, again, who I say are not au fait with the science of what it is that they're talking about. Sooner or later, you are going to get people taking the law into their own hands. We're already seeing that. That will then make criminals of ordinary members of the public. And at the very least, the police need to be acting to prevent that from happening. It's not fair on ordinary members of the public if they feel they have to get into the middle of the road and drag a protester out, or they feel they have to, as was the case, trying to prevent or trying to intercede. Do you remember when there were those protesters pouring milk all over the floor of the supermarket? Trying to stop that from happening. It shouldn't have to be that members of the public are looking around, looking for the authorities, and then go, well, I'm going to have to do it myself because otherwise nobody will do this. And then they are the ones that are chastised for it. So if nothing else, the police need to be stepping up their game and intervening on behalf of members of the public to stop this from happening. Yeah.
Don't give them pizzas, arrest them. That's what I would suggest. Do you like tofu, Benedict?
I don't mind it. It's not bad, but it's not, I tell you what, it's not worth upending, the farming industry for, put it that way.
Do you like The Guardian? Do you like The Guardian?
I like its sports section.
I can't stand tofu. I really can't stand. I don't understand why anyone would eat it, but that's a different issue.
Garlic and chili, that's what it needs.
Yeah, I guess that makes it slightly more acceptable, but I still wouldn't want to go there, really. Great to talk to you, Benedict, as always. Thank you very much for your time. That's Benedict Spence, political commentator.